Alright then guys, welcome back to the channel. Joseph Parker promises to break Daniel Dubois' heart. Let's talk about it. But before we do that, if you enjoy the content we create on this channel, please do me a favor. Click the like button, subscribe, and leave your comments in the section below. So, Joseph Parker has been making a lot of interviews, during the Ring Magazine Awards in London and following the press conference launch for the February 22nd card in Saudi Arabia, where Joseph Parker will be facing Daniel Dubois. Now, as you guys know, I made a video talking about the fact that Daniel Dubois, in my opinion, is overlooking Joseph Parker. You can check that video on my channel. And it seems as though Joseph Parker is also feeling that Daniel Dubois is overlooking him. And he believes that he's got the experience and the skill set to be able to defeat Daniel Dubois in the fight that is coming up. Now, if you look at how Daniel Dubois is behaving, he's meant to feel that way, right? He's a champion, he's young, he feels like he's overcome some adversities in his career. He's got, good guys behind him, good promoter, giving him a lot of push and a lot of confidence. So Daniel Dubois right now feels like he's on top of the world. And he should, because, beating Anthony Joshua at Wembley in front of 96,000 people is great. But Joseph Parker, on the other hand, just feels as though it is his time to become two-time heavyweight champion. And it feels like this fight is definitely winnable for him. And you can't blame Parker for feeling that way, because it's like he's been there, done that. He's won the world champion. He's lost it. He's had some really good fights against Wilder, against Zhile Zhang. He got absolutely splattered by Joe Joyce, which was a really good fight, which Parker probably should have fought that fight, with a different game plan. But, that's gone in the past now. And so if you look at what Joseph Parker is saying and the way he's behaving, it just feels as though he knows how to overcome the Dubois pressure, within that fight. Now, mind you, Joseph Parker needs to go into that fight knowing that Dubois, from when the first bell goes, Dubois is going to come out like a train. Parker needs to know that. He can't go in there and be lackadaisical. He needs to know that Dubois is going to come in there and Dubois is going to try and take his head off. Because the way Dubois is feeling, he wants a knockout, right? He wants to keep going because it's a great feeling to become a champion. Joseph Parker needs to stop that. He needs to stop Dubois, in his momentum. He needs to stop Dubois in his tracks. He needs to, make Dubois feel as though he's in there with someone that is very experienced. And one thing that I've noticed about Dubois is when he's not getting success in a fight, he tends to give up. I.e., in the fight against Joe Joyce, he was getting jabbed in that fight. He was getting his eye punched in. Joe Joyce's jab was really prominent and was very consistent. And it was at the same place that he was hitting the jab. And Dubois just couldn't take it because he was not having success himself. And he gave up in that fight and went off his knee. And then in that Usyk fight, he couldn't pin Usyk down to land the bombs that we know he can land. And, he got demotivated in that fight and he gave up in that fight. So Dubois, has the tendency to give up in fights when he's not having his way. And I feel like if Joseph Parker is really going to break his heart and, frustrate him and beat him, he needs to, come up with this sort of game plan. Andy Lee, George Lockhart, whoever is in Joseph Parker's corner, they need to sort of take the route of trying to frustrate Daniel Dubois, because we know when it comes to energy, when it comes to pressure, when it comes to, the youthful, energy that Dubois is going to bring, Joseph Parker is not going to match that, because Dubois is just way too hyped and way too energetic and way too, strong for Joseph Parker. But if Parker is going to do what he thinks he can do or what he believes he can do in this fight, he needs to go in there and try and frustrate Daniel Dubois, because I just feel genuinely that that is how he's going to be able to have success in that fight. because Dubois is going to keep coming until he just feels like he's not getting any success, and that's when, you know, he diminishes and then looking for a way out, because we've seen that before. For Dubois to stop Joseph Parker from breaking his heart, he needs to go in there and try and hit Joseph Parker anywhere he can. But he can't be reckless, because although Joseph Parker is not the biggest puncher in the division, Joseph Parker is an accurate and a very good puncher himself, right? So he can hurt Dubois if Dubois is not taking care in the way he's trying to put pressure on Joseph Parker to get him out of there. So it's a very, very, very fascinating fight. I mean, if Dubois can't beat Joseph Parker at this stage of Dubois' career, then I doubt that Dubois is going to, dominate the division, because this is his moment. This is his time to be an ex-champion that you could say is on his way out in the sport. And Joseph Parker is not even that old, but he's just been in the game for so long that it feels like he's a veteran, and Dubois is a young, up and coming hungry lion that is looking to stake his claim in the division. So it'll be really interesting to see how this fight plays out. But yeah, Joseph Parker just, feeling like he has the antidote to be able to defuse that Daniel Dubois bomb, that pressure, that youthful, exuberance that Dubois brings in that ring. He just feels as though he'll be able to put a lid on that and really go on to win that fight. And do I think Joseph Parker can do it? Absolutely, because, he's done it before. He's become a world champion before, and he can do it again. Daniel Dubois is very beatable. We've seen that in so many fights now. And I think that, if you don't give him the opportunity to have success, Daniel Dubois, he then capitulates in fights. And, at the same time, Dubois has to put the pressure on Joseph Parker, because he's an older guy. And, when you keep the pressure on someone for so long, there's only so much they can take that they'll break. And I think Dubois can have success in that way. But look, you guys let me know what you think about Joseph Parker's, promise to break Dubois' heart and become 2 times heavyweight champion. Do you think he can do it? Do you think he's just too old? Do you think Dubois is just too quick and too fast and too strong and hits too hard for Joseph Parker at this stage of his career? Get in the comment section. Let me know. As always, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with your loved ones. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you guys on the next one.